Good afternoon. I'm here to talk about the new Rokinon 50mm autofocus that I picked up from B&H, and I've been playing with it for a week and been fighting a few issues for a week. One of the issues that I was fighting was hunting in autofocus, where it's just doing a lot of hunting, and it shouldn't be. I was doing autofocus, just standard autofocus, and found out that this thing, it just hunt, and I didn't like it. I was able to get some good pictures. I was able to even put a extension tube on this thing, one of these guys here, that allows all the functions of the lens to pass through to the camera, so I can actually get myself some nice close-up pictures and still have autofocus. So these are a nice little thing to have, and these are E-mount specific, and so E-mount to E-mount, and they work. I love them. The lens, it's a well-built lens. It's solid. It's a fast lens. It's a 1.4. It has a nice smooth focus ring. Focus ring is ribbed, but is not rubberized. It's just plastic. And actually I like that better than the rubberized. Rubberized can kind of feel good, but can get dirty and sticky, and over time the rubberized coatings can wear off, at least on other rubberized coatings on other things that I've encountered during my lifetime. And so I like the hard plastic. It doesn't feel funny, it feels good, it's easy to grip and smooth turning. Manual focus on the lens has been good, but there was a problem that I found today that I didn't realize was there. And the aperture blades on one side of the lens are non-symmetrical. So my aperture blades have a manufacturer defect, and I think it's causing the hunting problem. So I'm going to reserve any further issues that I have with the lens until I get a new one. I'm going to send this one back, and they're going to replace it with another one. And if the aperture on the new one looks good, then we'll go ahead and move forward. So I just wanted to throw out, if you're having hunting problems, if you've picked up one of these new ones, whether it's the Rokinon branded one or the Samyang branded one, if you're having hunting problems, take a look at the aperture blades to see if they're symmetrical or not. So on one side it's not nice and round, it's kind of oblong. It's an oblong shape on one side, and so it's a definite visible issue, and it could be the cause of the hunting problem with the lens. I think the quality of the glass is going to be good. I did notice on one of the pictures a very high chromatic aberration in a high contrast area, and much higher than I had ever expected it to be, and I'm thinking that that might be an issue with this lens, with the aperture being the way it is on here. So that could be causing the problem. And so anyway, right now, oh yeah, the lens is a little noisy focusing. Not too pleased with that. Hopefully the next one won't be quite so noisy. I did send the G Master lens that I got from Sony. I sent it back because I do not tolerate that kind of noise. This one's getting close to the same, and if I have my external microphone and this on there in autofocus, you can hear it, and it's not good. So I'm not a fan of noise. The lens on my camera right now is totally silent, so I don't have an issue with that being in autofocus mode while I'm doing the talk. But this one here, if it moves and makes a focus, you can hear it, and my microphone picks it up. And so I would have to use my external lavalier microphone that I have with my iPhone, and I'd have to use it that way. So anyway, just wanted to let you know that if you do get one of these, double check the aperture, make sure the aperture is good, and then continue forward and test your lens to see if you like it. Does have the same Samyang plastic cover here, and it locks in like it should. And we do have the lens cap, nice lens cap, so that's a good thing to have. And also UV filter. I have a UV filter on this, so the lens stays nice and clean. And that's it. We're just doing the really short one. Just wanted to let you guys know on the defect on the aperture blades, and hopefully the new one will give us better results. But I want to get this out right now and let you know that there were focusing issues where the autofocus is hunting, severe hunting, and also severe chromatic aberration, plus it's kind of a noisy lens. Those are my first three gripes, and the fact that the manufacturer defect is not good on their part either, considering the fact that I have other Samyang lenses that I do like. So we'll talk to you later. When my new lens gets here, I'll do some more testing, and we'll talk to you then. Bye. So let's take a quick look at some of the photos that I took with the new Rokinon 50mm f1.4 autofocus lens. Down below you'll see some pictures that I took and give a few little examples of their settings. Well, I do have to say that I'm quite pleased with the quality of the images from the Rokinon 50mm autofocus lens. I enjoyed playing with it. Did have some frustrating times, but we got some good images, and unfortunately I had to send it back. They are going to send me a replacement, and once it gets back we're going to start rocking and rolling again and see what we can do. Okay, let's go ahead and move along to the photos. The first photo was of a damsel fly out in our garden. I took multiple photos, but this one turned out the best. I had actually put on a set of extension tubes for some initial close-up work using both the autofocus and manual focus. Here in this photo I had used manual focus, and the result was pretty exceptional. I did crop the image to show the excellent detail and did a bit of sharpening in post. Next to it is the same image with a 16:9 aspect ratio and no other processing. The extension tubes I used, the ones that I purchased from eBay, were from China. They are E-mount to E-mount, and so you can put them on any E-mount lens, or if you have an adapter to an E-mount, you can add those to your adapted lenses as well. These have electronic pass-through, so I can still use the autofocus and pass lens information. I did purchase two sets. However, one of my 16mm tubes is damaged and will only allow autofocus. No lens information will pass. Bummer. The other 16mm tube works along with two of the 10mm tubes, and yeah, it's kind of a poor man's macro, but they work great. The next photo I have is of my dismal carrot that I plucked out of the garden. This was taken before I put on any extension tubes. And I held my hand out just far enough so the lens could catch focus. I had to kind of stretch my arm out. And I took a picture using autofocus, and the color was as it was in my hand. So it was really kind of a pale carrot. The lens performed well, even with the funky aperture blades, and this was autofocus. The specs on this picture, because I didn't have the one bad extension tube on, ISO 250, has setting of f2 and 1/8,000ths for shutter speed. This is, as you can guess, handheld. This photo is of our cantaloupe melon flowers. Here I had two extension tubes on the lens, one 10mm and one 16mm. So it was a good 26mm worth of extension tube. This picture was given a touch of sharpening. Color on this one was not quite as bright as the real deal, but looks good nonetheless. I tried to duplicate the color, but did not, so I left it as is from the camera, except for a little bit of sharpening. And since I had the good extension tubes on here, the ISO was 6400 at f8 and 1/640th for my shutter speed. Now this picture here is of a pumpkin in my pumpkin patch. When I was out using the camera, I saw it and it was kind of buried in all the leaves, so I just stuck the camera down inside and let it autofocus on the pumpkin. Made sure I was far enough away so it would still focus properly. I did have a couple extension tubes on it, the 10mm and 16mm, and took a picture. And this is what came out, and this is straight from the camera, no post-processing, no cropping, no nothing. And with the small focal spot for focusing, this apparently had no trouble focusing even with the funky diaphragm. But I just wanted to show you this one, the quality of the image. The ISO setting on this was 6400 at f13 and 1/160th of a second shutter speed. So this picture here is a self-portrait using my iPhone to control the camera, and I'm sitting in the office. The camera's on a tripod. I didn't have my settings on my iPhone right, and it was just outputting JPEG, but it's a high quality JPEG, and it is straight from the camera with no post processing. ISO on this one is ISO 320, f1.6, and 1/160th shutter speed. So this picture is a picture of the lens aperture. It's accompanied with a little video, and this picture shows the funky shape of the aperture and what I believe the reason why this lens was having a hard time doing autofocus. And it's also the reason I sent the lens back to B&H, and I'm hoping to get a replacement soon. B&H should have it shortly, and once I get the new lens, then we're going to rock it on again. And we'll talk to y'all later. And you can see by these pictures, this lens has lots of potential, and I have full confidence that this lens will be a very good 50mm autofocus for lots of folks wanting to get good quality images from a budget autofocus lens. I do await my replacement and await the next review of the lens. If you want the raw images, I'll post them on my website, and I'll post a link in the information section so you can go to them and download them. And where I can give a raw image, I will give a raw image, and the self-portrait, it will be the high-resolution JPEG. And we'll see you later until the next lens arrives for another review.